President Cyril Ramaphosa has welcomed the Marikana ruling in the High Court in Johannesburg, but he now has a collusions case to answer to. Mineworkers were trying to sue Ramaphosa, who was on Lonmin's board at the time of the 2012 massacre. They wanted an apology and compensation, but the court ruled the president doesn't owe a duty of care to the plaintiffs. Let's now speak to their attorney for the families, Andries Nkome, who joins us now virtually. Thank you very much, Andries, for your time. Of course, yesterday's ruling, did it surprise you at all that the judgment actually went to the president's side?
No, thanks for having me, and thanks to your viewers. The judgment did not go to the president's side.
Not
the president
completely.
had brought an objection in terms of which he had sought the case to be dismissed if he was going to be successful. Now, the case went to court, and the court said the case against the president must continue.
All right, I just want to read some parts of, the judgment. It said that the plaintiff's particulars of claim were legally flawed. Some of the evidence that was brought forward, of course, besides the fact that there was no criminal trial, so not a lot of evidence was brought forward, but of course it was that email that we came to know about where the president allegedly sent an email and said that decisive action needed to be taken. And the court saying that evidence was not enough.
Okay. Now, if you read the judgment that you have, paragraph 1 essentially says that the state has accepted liability. Paragraph 42 says that the massacre took place as a result of a toxic collusion between Lonmin as well as the SAPS. And it says that the president was a champion. He was a mastermind behind all of this toxic collusion between state and capital that caused the massacre. Now, paragraph 41, just before that, says factual causation has been proven by the plaintiffs. The second paragraph says legal causation has been proven by the plaintiffs. So therefore it means the president has a case to answer. And this is different to what was found by Judge Ian Falamon. He said that the highest decision-making body at the time or person was the then National Police Commissioner here. So we have been saying that the massacre took place as a result of toxic collusion, and the court has accepted our argument, and the president has not succeeded in dismissing the case against our clients. Therefore, the case against the president is continuing.
It's continuing. And what's the way forward then from now on after this particular judgment?
The court has given us 6 weeks within which we are supposed to make amendments to our summons. And we are taking instructions from clients as to whether or not we need to do the amendments, because in our view, the case against the president is continuing, and the court has accepted that the massacre took place as a result of the president's characterization of the labor dispute as a criminal act, and therefore we can proceed against the president.
All right. And also, of course, the apology part of it, the president keeps on telling the nation that he has apologized. He's apologized in Parliament. But of course, the families feel as though he should come to them. Am I correct? He's basically said that he has apologized to the nation, but the family wants the apology to come directly to them.
I think you would know as well as I do that an apology that you make on the media is not as good as an apology that you would make to the person that you claim to have wronged. And this has been made many times over in public, and the president has been saying that he'll go to Marikana and make an apology there. What we know is that having made those public statements to say he'll go to Marikana and apologize, he goes to courts and says that he's fighting not to make an apology. So therefore, he's saying left and acting right. And therefore, that's what makes our clients resolute to say we need to have an apology, and it needs to be as a result of a court order.
So you think then that the president was jumping the gun then when, the presidency sent through a media advisory yesterday saying that it welcomes the judgment and quoting, for instance, things such as saying that the court says that there was not enough evidence, or it was not only far-fetched but also irreconcilable within the context of email communication, currently, or content as a whole. So you think he was jumping the gun in terms of saying that he welcomes it?
The case in court by Bayeke Sivuka and others, it's against Cyril Ramaphosa in his personal capacity.
Yeah.
And it very strikes our clients as to why would a president go and issue out a presidential statement on the government's documents to say that the presidency accepts the outcomes of the court. The second thing is that I have read the statements which have been made, and it says that in his capacity as a director, he stood no obligations against the Lonmin employees. But as a person, in terms of paragraph 42, he is the mastermind behind the toxic collusion, and therefore he ought to be held liable. And I don't know as to what benefit would it be for a confusion to be made in respect of what we now know. What we now know is that the judgment says the president has got reason to come through to court and answer, and that cannot be disputed.
And of course, going back to the issue or the point you made about, making this application against the president in his personal capacity, is it going to be enough for the plaintiffs, the families, for him just to apologize and compensate them? Or if you win that particular part of it, as this case continues, is there a possibility that you'll want a criminal case to then be instituted against the president?
Look, the attitude of the plaintiffs, the clients that we represent, essentially emanates from the attitude of the president himself. And it's a matter of discussion. We are saying the president must come through and apologize. Then there ought to be a reconciliatory process out of which there ought to be talk about how best we make sure that we get reparations for the injuries that we have suffered. And it will be out of there that the determination is made as to what then next. But we are now talking at a level where it's a civil case that we have against the presidency, and that's it. As for other processes, it will be for clients to make a decision, and we'll be able, as creatures of instructions, to go and execute.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. I was just thinking maybe if this is, if this does go your way, then you might think that there's a possibility or prospects of winning in a criminal case. But thank you very much for speaking to us, Mr. Nkome, and for your time. That was Andries Nkome. He's the attorney representing the Marikana Massacre families.